Many of the hostages that you're waiting for and everybody's waiting for, those hostages, many of them are dead. Many of them are dead. And it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing, but many of those hostages are dead. There's no way that those hostages, and some will be alive, but many of those hostages are dead. It's a very serious, horrible thing. It would have never happened if the election weren't rigged. It would have never happened if I were president.
Yeah, so that's about as gross as I can imagine a public figure ever saying. Not just repeatedly saying the hostages are dead, the hostages are dead, the hostages are dead, but then linking it as he links literally everything in the world as being tied to his own political fortunes. If he gets what he wants, people won't die. If he doesn't, you just might die. That is a message that he is crazy enough to deliver, and unfortunately, millions of Americans are deluded enough, desperate enough, insert a word, to accept and to think that that makes sense. So that's just a taste of the madness. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Listen, in order for the Damage Report to keep on going, we need viewers like you to become a member on YouTube. Can you click the join button on YouTube today? Thank you. There was a lot of madness at this rally in the Bronx. That sort of stood out. It was unique. We also had some of the more typical sorts of madness, which is he was repeatedly lying about the crowd size. There are overhead shots showing that it is, as you can see, a good crowd. That's a good crowd, just like Wildwood. Perfectly good crowd. And you know what? You could describe the actual crowd that's there, and that would be good. You could accurately talk about how many people are there. You could talk about the fact that it's more diverse than most Republican crowds. It's nowhere near as diverse as they imply it to be. And the vast majority of those people there, at least according to like people, reporters talking to people there, are not actually from the Bronx. No, that's fine. They're still humans. They're still people. But when you have to pitch it as like this overwhelmingly black and brown Bronx crowd that broke all records, well then like it doesn't seem like you care about the crowds there. You're more focused on the fictional crowd you've invented in your mind that makes you feel warm and fuzzy. I wanna go to just a little bit more from the rally and then we will discuss. Take a look at this.
A lot of people say to me today, the toughest business people that you know about, could I ask you a question? How do you do it? I say, do what? How do you get up in the morning and put your pants on? Where do you put the pants on? I'll explain it to you someday. How do you do it? How do you get up? How do you do it?
What? I get a deranged old man ranting like this. I get it. He's in the twilight of his life. He's a very desperate, needy person. I get him ranting. I don't understand why people so readily line up to hear this utter nonsense. But Brett, you're better at putting yourself in the point of view of someone who might do that. What's your explanation for this? What's the appeal?
I want to see it. Show me, don't tell me. Donald, put your pants on. I don't believe that Donald Trump can put his own pants on just due to the physics. As someone who's getting a bit of a gut myself, was driving home and there's like this ridge of sweat when you're in the car. I don't know if anyone gets that, where you're like, am I sweating between my belly button and my manny boobies? And the answer is yes, but I can still put my pants on. How does he put his pants? And also, no one asked you that.
No one.
Nobody asked you, how do you put your pants on? And after you said it, Donald, you weren't smart enough and aware enough and whatever he is, a genius and a very stable genius enough not to say it. But you were smart enough to realize it didn't make any sense. And you knew you couldn't say, excuse me, that was weird. And you knew that all the people in the audience would just cheer no matter what you said. So why not push it? It's insane. About this, go ahead.
Yeah, the point of that and the effect of it is, isn't it so hard to be a billionaire former president? They're all coming for you. They're so mean. Everyone's mean to you. And they buy it. Tons of people who are desperately living paycheck to paycheck can barely, like there's inflation, grocery prices. Well, actually grocery prices are apparently going down a little bit, but there's still, everything's so expensive and the rent is so high and the odds of owning a home are so hard. And these people work themselves into a frenzy to feel bad for a guy with billions of dollars. That is like, that's not just a thing that's happening. That is arguably the point of right-wing media. is to make you sympathetic to people who have 1,000,000 times more than you will ever have in your life. And it works. They feel bad for the billionaire.
Also, nothing is difficult for Trump except what he made difficult. The guy was born very rich. He was given hundreds of millions of dollars, which he squandered many times due to his own business dealings. In terms of winning the Republican nomination, all he had to do was be a guy who knew how to be on TV in front of other people who didn't know how to be on TV. It was difficult to realize that you just needed to treat the race like a reality show. But his expertise was reality shows, because the one thing that he's good at, but it isn't hard, is just being brash.
Yeah.
That's it. And all the things he did along the way to get himself in legal trouble, that's his fault. And then the first thing you started off with, oh, those hostages would be alive if it wasn't for him. What are you talking about? In terms of escalating tensions in the region, you were the bellicose schmuck boy who endorsed the moving of the American embassy to places it shouldn't be, if you want to do diplomacy and you want peace.
He also said that Russia never would have invaded Ukraine. So again, like, can you imagine if Bernie Sanders came out and said, if the DNC hadn't screwed me, all these people wouldn't have died? Like, can you imagine how he'd be pilloried for claiming that all of these lives hinged on him getting what he wants?
But elections do matter, just not in the way that he says.
Oh, exactly. Oh, no. They're very consequential, but there has to be like a logical through line, some sort of like common sense connection, not just whatever's bad would have, like
140 million people would have still been in student debt.
Screwed, Rise of Skywalker would have been great. Like, you can't just claim that everything would be better. That's not how it works. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.